Welcome back. Dave, ready for the tiny question that used to ruin your Monday?
Ready?
Morning. How was your weekend?
Fine.
Oof, I felt that silence.
That was me every Monday. For 8 months, I was the quiet one because I could not answer fast enough.
Today, you get the 3-beat formula that fixed it. Short recap, one detail, one question back. Plus, the exact phrases so your next Monday sounds like you. Because the problem with just saying, fine, is what happens next. Nothing.
Exactly. People stop asking. You become the coworker nobody really knows. That was my Monday reality.
Not because you have nothing to share, but because the speed of the question freezes you.
Right. My brain was trying to translate my entire Saturday. By the time I found the words, they were walking away.
Which brings us to the first beat of the formula, the short recap. You do not need to tell them everything. You just need to set the mood.
I started using one simple phrase when I didn't do anything special. Not much, honestly.
It is so casual. Let us try that. Your turn. Say it out loud. Not much, honestly.
And if it was a good, relaxing weekend, you just use one strong word. It was pretty chill.
Chill is a great way to say low-key. It takes the pressure off entirely. But what if your weekend was crazy?
Then you say, it was pretty hectic.
Hectic. Busy, but in a chaotic way. So we have our short recap. Chill, hectic, or not much, honestly.
But a short recap alone is basically just a better version of fine. If you stop there, the conversation still dies.
Which is why beat 2 is where the connection actually happens.
Exactly. If you just say pretty chill and then stop talking, you leave the other person with absolutely nothing to catch.
They nod, they pour their coffee, and they walk away. The conversation still dies.
And this is exactly what happened to me for my first 8 months at that office. I actually had plenty of things to say. I knew the English words.
But in that tiny 3-second window of small talk, your brain just stops.
Yes, when someone asks about your weekend, an invisible timer starts. You have about 3 seconds to answer before it gets awkward. I just couldn't translate my weekend stories fast enough.
The pressure is too high. So a simple, one-word answer escapes instead. Fine. Good.
Which means it is not your English that is failing you. It is the speed. That 3-second window is completely brutal.
I want everyone watching to really hear that. If you freeze during small talk, it is not your vocabulary. It is the speed. Stop blaming your English.
It is such a relief to realize that. But the worst part is what happens over time. Because you only give those short answers, your colleagues eventually stop asking.
Not because they are rude, they just assume you do not want to talk to them.
So over the months, you become the quiet one at work.
Right. It is a social identity you never chose. You were not trying to be distant. You were just invisible.
Standing by the coffee machine on a Monday, listening to the espresso machine hum, feeling completely isolated. It was awful.
That is such a lonely feeling. And this is exactly why Beat 2 is the game changer. Beat 2 is adding one detail.
Because you prepare your one detail before you even walk into the office kitchen. You never have to think on the spot.
Let us show how different this feels in real life. First, the closed door. Dave, how was your weekend?
It was pretty chill.
Nice. Glad to hear it.
See, the door shuts. Jessica has to do all the work to think of a new topic. Usually people won't do that work, so they just leave.
Now let us open the door. Give me Beat 1 plus a Beat 2 detail. Hey Dave, how was your weekend?
It was pretty chill. I watched a really terrible movie.
Oh really? How terrible.
Notice what happened. Jessica immediately asked a follow-up question. The conversation is alive.
Because you gave me a detail to catch. A terrible movie. I didn't need to invent a topic. You handed it right to me.
And because I chose that detail on my drive to work, I didn't have to panic or freeze. I beat the timer.
Which means you can too. Next, we are going to give you the exact everyday phrases to build your own detail.
Having those everyday phrases ready changes everything. Because before I had them, Monday mornings were a nightmare. I would stand there holding my coffee cup, listening to the machine hum, just waiting for someone to speak.
And knowing that invisible timer was about to start made it even worse.
Exactly. The frustrating part was feeling the pressure to invent a perfectly translated, interesting story on the spot. By the time I found the words, the window was closed. So I would panic, fall back on fine, and let the conversation crash.
Letting that happen week after week leads to that slow slide into invisibility. It reinforces that lonely feeling of being the quiet one, which is exactly why we need a system that removes the need to think fast.
That is where the 3-beat formula comes in. This was my turning point. I realized I did not need to be a brilliant storyteller. I just needed a structure.
We know beat 1 is a quick recap, and beat 2 is that prepared detail. Beat 3 will be your bounce back question. Let us build your vocabulary for the details first.
Let us start with a busy weekend. When my colleague asks how my weekend was, I start with beat 1, the recap. It was pretty hectic.
Hectic. That is such a great word for your everyday vocabulary. It is like busy, but everything is happening at once. Say it out loud with me. Hectic.
Then I moved to beat 2, my one detail. I ran errands and went to the hardware store.
Notice the grammar Dave used there. We are using the past simple tense. He did not say, I was running errands. He said, I ran errands.
Running errands is the perfect phrase for all those weekend chores. Going to the bank, buying groceries, taking the car to the shop.
But Dave, what if your weekend was completely lazy? What if you have no exciting details?
Then my recap is different. I say, it was pretty chill, or it was pretty low-key.
And what is your one detail for a chill weekend?
I just caught up on sleep.
Caught up on sleep. That sounds so much more natural than saying, I slept a lot. Let us practice that one. Your turn. Say it out loud. I caught up on sleep.
You can use that structure for anything. I caught up on emails. I caught up on errands. Or use simple verbs like, we watched a few movies, or I went to the park.
But what if you really did absolutely nothing? What if you barely left the house?
You can use the negative form for your detail. Not much, honestly. I didn't do much.
I didn't do much. That is a perfectly safe, natural answer for a lazy weekend. You do not have to invent a fake story.
Which brings us to the lifeline of the whole conversation. Beat 3, the bounce back question.
You gave your recap. You gave one detail. Now, you have to throw the ball back to them.
How about you? Get up to anything fun?
This is the single most important line to memorize. Let us shadow this together. I want you to say it right after us out loud. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Excellent. Now it is your turn to put the entire 3-beat formula together. Recap, one detail, bounce back.
Think about your actual last weekend. Pause the video right now, build your 3-beat answer, and say it out loud.
Welcome back. Let us show you how this flows in real life. We will model a busy weekend and a lazy weekend, so you can hear the rhythm. Dave, how was your weekend?
It was pretty hectic, actually. I ran errands all day Saturday and went to a family dinner. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Not much, honestly. I didn't do much. I just caught up on sleep and watched a terrible movie.
See how natural that feels? Neither of us panicked. We just followed the beats, and the conversation stayed alive.
Exactly. And notice the tiny grammar shift that makes the whole thing work. We used the past simple for the details.
This is a place where a lot of people trip up. They panic, translate directly from their native language, and use the present tense. They say, I am catching up on sleep, or I go to the store.
Which feels a bit unnatural to the listener, because the weekend is already over. The magic is in the past simple. I ran errands. I caught up on sleep. We watched a terrible movie. Just knowing you only need the past simple removes half the stress.
And for a lazy weekend, the absolute best safety phrase is the negative. I didn't do much.
It is the perfect shield. You do not need to invent an exciting story to sound interesting. I didn't do much is a complete, perfectly acceptable answer. Say it with me. I didn't do much.
Great, so You survived the initial question. You gave your 3 beats, you asked the bounce back question. And your colleague answers. They tell you about their weekend.
But here is the trap. If you just nod, say cool, and stare at the coffee machine, the conversation flatlines again.
It is the second awkward silence. You got the ball over the net. They hit it back and you just let it drop. All that hard work for nothing.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Leveling up and reacting to their story.
When your colleague shares their detail, you only need one thing, a reaction phrase. Something short that proves you are actually listening, not just planning your escape route back to your desk.
Let us go back to our scene. I ask you what you did. You say you just caught up on sleep. How do I react?
The best casual reaction is simple empathy. I would say, sounds like you needed that.
That is a great one. It is warm and human. Now, what if my detail was that I ran errands all day Saturday?
Then I need to match your energy. If you had a busy weekend, I should not say, oh, fun. That makes it sound like I am not listening. I would say, that sounds hectic.
Yes, validation. Match the feeling. What if I did something genuinely fun? Let us say I went to a new Italian place downtown with some friends.
I would say, oh, nice. How did that go? Or maybe, no way. Was it good?
Let us practice that first one. Your turn. Say it out loud. Oh, nice. How did that go?
Beautiful. Now, those casual reactions are perfect for most office environments, talking to a peer or working in a startup with your friends. But what if you are talking to the director of your department?
Or a new client in a slightly more formal corporate workplace. You probably do not want to say, no way.
We need a slightly more polite register. Let us model that. Jessica, I actually drove up to the mountains for the weekend.
That sounds lovely. Did you have good weather?
Notice what Jessica did. She swapped the casual, oh, nice, for, that sounds lovely. It elevates the politeness just a little bit, but stays very natural.
And my follow-up question was completely safe. The absolute safest topics in the corporate world are food, weather, trips, and shows. You never ask about anything highly personal.
If they mention a restaurant, ask if the food was good. If they mention binge watching a show, ask if they recommend it. It is practically copy and paste. Let us demo another polite one. I will be the CEO.
Good morning, Dave. Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, my wife and I drove up to the lake on Sunday to look at a boat.
That sounds lovely. Did you have good weather?
We did, actually. The sun was out all day and the water was perfectly calm. Smooth, professional, and zero awkward silence.
You can use that exact phrasing for any outdoor activity or weekend trip. So you have your casual reactions and your polite reactions. You are matching their detail, reacting briefly, and asking one safe question.
That is all it takes to keep their story alive. Let us try one more casual practice before we put it all together. I will give you a detail. You keep it alive. Here we go. Jessica, I finally saw that new superhero movie this weekend.
No way. Was it good?
It was way too long, but the action sequences were incredible. See, we are having a real fluid conversation now.
Now let us put all of this together into a full two-way exchange. From the first greeting to the final reaction. Watch how the pieces fit.
I will start. Hey, Jessica, how was your weekend?
Pretty chill, actually. I just stayed in and caught up on sleep. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Honestly, pretty hectic. We ran errands all day Saturday and then went to a huge family dinner.
That sounds hectic. Was the food good at least?
Pause right there. Look at the structure. Jessica took my detail, matched the energy with, that sounds hectic, and tossed the ball back with a safe food question.
The pressure is completely gone. I am not trying to be incredibly charming or funny. I am just giving the conversation oxygen.
You turn a one-way answer into a real two-way exchange. You are no longer the quiet one at the coffee machine, hoping nobody talks to you.
You become the colleague who is genuinely easy to talk to.
You have the formula. You have the words. You know how to react. Now it is time to build your Monday answer.
This is the most important part of this entire video. Do not skip this. We are going to practice right now.
I want you to think about your actual weekend, not a made-up story, your real weekend.
Step 1. Pick your recap. Was it pretty chill, actually? Or, honestly, pretty hectic? Or maybe, not much, honestly. Take a second and choose one.
Step 2. Pick one simple detail. Notice your verbs here. It is always past simple because the weekend is over. I went, we watched, I caught up.
Or the negative form if you had a lazy weekend. I didn't do much. That is a completely valid detail.
Just pick one thing you really did. Did you catch up on sleep? Did you run errands? Did you watch a movie?
Step 3. Add the bounce back question. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
We want you to put those three pieces together right now in your head.
I am serious. Build your sentence. Recap, detail, bounce back.
We're going to tell you to pause the video in a second. When you do, we want you to say your full three-beat answer out loud.
Out loud to the empty room. Speaking it is what builds the muscle memory, so it feels completely natural on Monday morning.
Ready? Get your pieces ready. Pause the video right now and speak your answer out loud.
I hope you actually did it. If you just watched us waiting in silence, do it now. Nobody is watching you.
Let us hear some model versions so you can compare how yours sounds. Jessica, how was your weekend?
Pretty chill, actually. I just caught up on sleep and watched a terrible movie. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Perfect. Recap, detail, bounce back. Let me try a different one.
Hey, Dave. How was your weekend?
Not much, honestly. I ran errands all day Saturday and then just stayed home. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Notice how natural that sounds. It does not sound like you are reading from a strict grammar textbook, but the structure keeps you completely safe from freezing up.
The magic key to the whole thing is that bounce back question. You need to be able to say it without even thinking about the words.
Which is why we drilled it earlier. Just remember, how about you? Get up to anything fun?
Now you have a complete game plan. You know exactly how to answer. You know how to pass the ball, and you know how to react when they answer back.
You are finally ready to conquer the coffee machine and actually enjoy Monday morning.
And that is exactly what happened to me. After 8 months of awkward silence, I finally used the three beats. That colleague actually smiled. We talked about movies, and he became my first real work friend.
I love that story so much. Let us quickly remember your new tools. First, the formula. A short recap, one detail, and one question back.
And the phrases. You can say, your weekend was pretty chill, low-key, or maybe a bit hectic.
For the details, you can say you had to run errands, or catch up on sleep, or simply, not much, honestly.
Then you pass the ball. How about you? Get up to anything fun?
Now it is your turn. Tell us about your weekend in the comments below using the three beats.
A short recap, one detail, and one question back. For example, pretty chill. I finally caught up on sleep. How about you?
Post your answer right now. We read every single Monday story, and we will reply to as many as we can.
Use your new answer out loud with a real colleague next Monday. And come back next week for another episode.
You know exactly what to say now. Have a great week, everyone. Bye!
See you next time.